So that's the VX2, the smaller class scooter in the Vectrix gamma. It can be registered as a moped, 45 km per hour limited, or as a light motorcycle, 125cc equivalent. Actually has 2 passenger seat and under the seat a space for placing a battery. This is a battery, it's removable, can simply fit it in the bike, engaging the battery by pressing the button, turning on. After the welcome message, just press left brake and right brake to enable the motor. After driving your 45-50 kilometers range, when the battery is actually empty, just simply switch off the battery, remove it, plug the charger, turn on the battery, and the charger, it will recharge the battery. When the battery is full, so the charger is blinking, it means battery is in charge. When the battery is full, the LED red, it will become green, steady. So then we can just simply switch off the battery, remove the charger, fit it in again, or just simply swapping with another one, turning on, ready to drive again. If the battery is off, the vehicle, it will result still live, but it doesn't drive. For example, switch off the battery. We'll see that the headlight will go off due of no communication. Yes, it's off. And if we try to drive, the battery is completely dead. We just turn on the battery, communication is established, headlight is on, motor works. Preferably, you have to switch off the battery. You don't have to, but preferably you can switch it off the battery. When the battery is on, the electronics of the battery is on, so it's always consuming a small amount of energy to keep the electronics of the battery live. There is a protection mode, so if the battery gets discharged through his internal power consumption below a certain point, it will self-switch off herself to prevent the over-discharge of the battery. Can be stored completely empty in the condition where it will self-switch off almost a month before being charged. Anyhow, we always recommend to charge it at least once every 2 months. When the battery will self-switch off, is into a protection mode, so even if the light button is on, it will not let you drive the bikes, and after 30 seconds it will self-switch off again if it doesn't sense the presence of the charger. If it's in the protection mode but you plug in the charger, he will detect that the battery voltage is growing, it's getting charged, so it will stay on. It can be restored, but you cannot drive it anymore. If the customer doesn't want to remove the battery, he can just simply put the charger in, turn it on, and it will charge in the bike. It's exactly the same. And then you can close the seat with the cable inside, so the battery is protected. The battery is available in the 2 kWh or 3 kWh size, all of them removable. The motor is a 4 kilowatt power. The vehicle is equipped with the standard bidirectional throttle that it let us drive or regen or brake with the motor and recharging the battery in the same time, combine in the same movement. Press and hold. The blinking direction, it means that the vehicle is in the drive mode. Then we can simply accelerate or brake. If the speed is 0, the reverse is engaged by turning the throttle forward. The bottom of the battery compartment has also some draining holes, so if some quantity of water came in, it drains from the bottom. As well, under request, we may mount the charger fixed inside the bike. Then, if the charger is fixed inside, you have just the charging cord here, and there is no charging connector, just it recharge through the main connector. Right now the 2 kWh battery is at 13 kilograms and the 3 kWh packs is at 19 kilograms. We are planning, and we can either make a picture, that the vehicle has a double slide rail, let's say, and is ready for having two connectors. We are planning for the future to compose the 3 kWh pack, or to let the customer has a 4 kWh battery still removable, just by simply have two modules of a 2 kilowatt each, 13 kilograms each. So it can let you have two independent modules. You can walk with two batteries, lighter weight. You can just remove it, charge it only one, and drop it in. It will extend the range. Or you can charge it both. They can be charged either inside the battery or outside the battery. For the small battery, the 2 kilowatt hour, yes, is a 45-50 kilometers range, depending on the driving style of the users. The 3 kilowatt hour, as well at the same speed, 40-45 kilometers per hour, it will give you 65-70 kilometers range. Of course, the light motorcycle version has a top speed of a 70 kilometers per hour. The range, it will be reduced if you are driving all the time at the 70 kilometers per hour. So here we have just two units, ICM with built-in DC-DC converter and motor controller that is stored into this compartment in charge of driving the motors. Future version of a VX2, because this space is actually empty, they will have a door here that it will let us just simply open and having access to this compartment to be used as a trunk. Because in the removable version battery, we lost the trunk due of the battery being placed here. There's a small space here, but just for the key. Actually, you cannot place a helmet here. No maintenance for the motor, no gearbox, no oil, nothing. The motor is just integrated in the wheel, as all the hub motors. Brake disc in front and rear, adjustable gas suspension, aerodynamic suspension, digital and analog screen. On the display, here we have total mileage, trip, battery voltage, and status of a battery. Empty, full. At the moment it's full. While driving it will decrease and showing that the battery is decreased. There is no estimated range indicator on this bike. There is a version, of course, with the windshield, as it doesn't have any windshield as a standard equipment. To get access to the ICM, you have to remove 4 screws located here under the panel, and then the ICM is just visible. To get access to the motor controller, you have to remove 2 panels, removing the screw around, and you can get access to the motor controller. It's very safe because it's enough to remove the battery, then there is no energy on the vehicles. You can touch any point of the bike, and even with the battery present, because it's a 48 volt, there is no risk of getting any injury, even if you touch the battery terminal, because of the low voltage. And anyhow, the connector is well protected, so even if you try to touch it, you don't reach the pin that are quite inside. Full LED light, direction, tail light, plate light, to optimize the power consumption. Yes, to remove those panels, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws on the other side as well, and the lower part go down. Yeah. To remove the front part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the front part go out. You will have to rise up the wheel, and the wheel has to pass through this hole. It's required to remove the wheel, the front wheel. But just go down, you replace those 2 parts, you rise it up and screw it back again. It's possible to open the motor, but it's quite difficult because it's sealed, so it's glued. But you have a double pair of hall sensor routed in parallel. So in a case of one of the 3 hall sensor failed, there is a backup, and you doesn't have even to disconnect and connect the backup one. It's already wired. Replacement of the motor is quite easy. You just have to remove those 3 screws, and there is a big nut here. You lose the nut, you remove the motor. To replace the front tire is a tubeless tire, so as every vehicle. To remove the rear tire, you have such a number of bolts here to close the motor, and 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, they doesn't have any marking. So in case of tire replacement, you have to remove the air from the tire. You have to remove all the bolts with the mark except the 3 without the mark. Then this ring get out, you remove the tire, you put the new tire, you tighten back the ring, you pump it back, done. You don't need to remove the motor to replace the tire. Just the wheel can be collapsed into pieces.